and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Frank,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Approval of the minutes from last month.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Jason Frank,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Approval of the financials.
James. Any questions?
Look fine to me.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Was that Kenny?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Okay, our visitors this evening, Ashley.
So the biggest thing I just wanted to talk about was the deputies have already been starting to come to some of our scenes and assist. This started several months ago. Defiance County's been doing it like that for years. It just kind of gives us an extra helping hand on scene and stuff, or lifting assistance or whatever, so you don't have to get the whole fire department out or whatever. And then, so in that process though, they, some of the deputies just was more interested in trying to lend that helping hand right there, marking that scene and being there before we got there. So in that whole process of that, some of them now are getting certified as emergency medical responders is what it is. So it's that first level of EMS certification. And so the idea of that then is that they're gonna be able to maybe assist us that day with driving the squad. So day comes and it's just me in town, I still need that other EMT or a firefighter or law enforcement officer and I don't have them. If that deputy is available that's certified, then they're gonna be able to come and help. And that'll prevent us from having to go to Payne, call Payne to come over and assist, or call Paulding over to come and assist, which could increase your time by like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So, the biggest thing we just wanna make sure is, that they're gonna be covered with our insurance, on our insurance policy and stuff, and I've already reached out to the insurance company, and they're a member as long as they're on the EMS roster for that. So, and they were looking at maybe just a memorandum of understanding, showing that they would, that we would cover them with our insurance policy, because otherwise they're not gonna get paid by the village. It's not gonna come out of the EMS budget or nothing. They're still gonna be covered by the sheriff's office when they're doing that. It would just be in that event that we may need them. And not only is it gonna benefit us, but it would benefit some of the other towns too, because as you can see on my report, how many times you've already gone to Payne and Paulding to assist. And a lot of times it's just because they need one person. So that would help try to alleviate some of that and get that care to that person a lot faster.
So they would be assisting like Payne also, Payne.
Yeah, it would be a countywide thing, so it's just some of the other departments aren't quite as fast with it as I am, so.
It would only be when the sheriff's department has extra on duty.
Yeah.
If there's a workers' comp claim, it goes to the sheriff's department, it doesn't come to us. So that's what the memorandum of understanding would be as well, which, Mel, you would work with Joe Burkhardt on that because he's the one that's gonna be drawing it all up for the county.
And it doesn't affect our insurance at
Nope,
all.
nope,
Doesn't change
nope, and I
anything
can
with
send
our-
that paperwork to Mel that I got from the insurance, what their understanding of a member is.
And you
So.
take care of adding them to the roster?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they have to go on, they'll have to go on our like drug licensing and stuff, so with our EMS stuff, so that's not a problem there. We do it every day when we add somebody and stuff, so.
Is the memorandum written, or do we need to?
No,
No,
he's, he's doing a trial right now, it'll probably be a little bit.
Yeah, with that upcoming trial and stuff,
Okay.
we were just kind of wanting to let you guys know, so then that way Mel could start working with Joe on it in a couple weeks, and
Sounds like a good idea to me.
I'll
Yeah.
look for Joe's email, and then if you wanna send me yours
Yep.
on the insurance.
yep, I will send that over. And then also, I know several years ago, we needed a new handbook done for the EMS, and I got that sent over. I don't know, can we look
I'll
on
send
getting
those
that?
Details on it.
Okay.
Okay.
If
I
we
had
can-
somebody already review it in my office who does employment law, and I emailed the details on the proposed revision, so.
Okay, so maybe we can get that wrapped up and started at the beginning of the year,
It's up to council.
if we can do that.
Do we
Because
have
I wrote
a,
it like a year ago, and
I don't know if a personnel committee would wanna meet, that's what we did, I know when we did the village handbook
That's what we
update.
said. we were gonna
I would say it's
do it.
personnel.
Anybody have any questions about the report while Ashley's here?
since you can see we're up 45 from last year. So,
They're gonna be assisting with any run in the village as well as outside the village, correct?
what's that?
They'll be assisting with any run within the village as well as outside of the village.
Yes, in our service area, and then, Paulding service area, Oakwood, River Hill, whatever, as long as they're available, so we'd call them ahead of time and make sure. And we've already been doing it for years with the assistance of another department, because of mutual aid agreements and stuff we have. So it's not uncommon on a Sunday when I'm at my mother-in-law's over by Cecil, to go assist Paulding real quick with something. So then that way we're not taking our squad out and sending it all the way over to Paulding to help out. I'm there, I'll just go jump in and help them out. So it's not uncommon to already do that with EMS personnel. Now it's just would be with deputies and a deputy instead, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. George?
Any questions?
Any questions for George?
You still not looking to search, I assume?
I am, there's just nobody out there.
Okay,
Next one, looking for two.
okay.
And then on the agenda.
Nothing that I need to, but we just-
Thanks, George.
we're all students.
thanks, George.
So there you didn't catch me. Okay, Amy?
Ordinance number 2022-22. This is the second reading, an ordinance authorizing the village fiscal officer to transfer $5,000 from the general fund to the street lighting fund. Ordinance number 2022-23, an ordinance to establish the time and place of regular meetings of the council for the village of Antwerp, Paulding County, Ohio, for calendar year 2023. And this is the same as always, Mondays that are holidays will fall on the third Wednesday of that month, and the dates are stated on here. That's also first reading. And I don't know if Brian wants to talk real quick before I bring up this one, or are we skipping it? What do you want me
I
to do? Mom?
can read the title, and then it's up to Ryan, if you want to say anything, maybe go ahead and do the first reading.
So this one you guys found on your spot today when you came in your seat. This is ordinance number 2022-24, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-17, an ordinance increasing water rates for the village of Antwerp, county of Paulding, Ohio, specifically amending sections 2 and 5 of ordinance number 2018-17 to increase the minimum charge for each tap effective January 1st, 2023.
I think probably, before we go too far with that, we need to make known why we're doing it. That's,
We're gonna have this in the discussion when the committee makes its report.
okay.
And then the RETA for the month of October, or September, paid in October, $35,735.53. And that's all I have.
Brian?
I'll do a short administrative report, and then I think Brian wants to talk a little bit on committee report, and then we can have more discussion on this ordinance. One of the things that we're looking at is the cost to replace the device we use to read the water meters. It has outlived its useful life. It uses proprietary software, and that software is no longer serviced or updated. We have been having problems with the unit working, and so we have looked at two different devices, one from our current provider and one from Ferguson. It's my recommendation that we would go with Ferguson, but we're going to try to at least make it to the first of the year so we don't incur the cost in this fiscal year. Funds are tight right now. But just want to make you aware of that. One of the benefits of it is that we will then, when we change meters and work with the meters, they'll all eventually be radio read. So we can actually get it to a point where we put an antenna on the tower, on the water tower, and simply push a button and all the data comes in. Nobody goes out and reads anything. So we'll have a reduction in labor in order to do that. So it's one of the benefits, but it's kind of an expensive venture to begin with. We'll just take it slowly.
What kind of cost are we looking at on that?
You're probably looking all-in cost for the village, with the equipment, best case scenario, about $165,000. Best case. Cost is, if we have a lot of what we call iPearl meters, if all we have to do is put the radio device on top, that's $191. If we have to replace the meter and the device, because the meter wouldn't have the device, that's $326. We cover residential water meters, the village does, pays for it. Anything that is not residential, anything greater than 5/8 inch, then that business or operation is responsible for covering the cost. So when you go to these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inch meters, it's a little expensive. You can be anywhere, depending on the size, anywhere from $1,700 to $17,000, depending on how big you go. So that's kind of the plan. There's not really a lot of, I mean, back in my day, I had a tablet, and that's how I read water meters, but nobody does that anymore. And everything has gone to this radio read setup.
How much of a warranty is on that?
20 years. 20 years or 3.5 million gallons.
20?
Mhm.
How old is the current system?
Bought in,
2015?
I was gonna say 14 or 15. They quit updating the software like 3 years ago. We've been able to get by, but it's at a point now where you can't fix it. We think it'll work one more time, but we're not positive.
So how, we need to have these new meters in place by January 1?
No.
Okay.
What we need currently is a new device to record the readings.
Okay.
And so the software would be manipulated in such that it would have a walking map, just like the one we have now. So if you don't have a radio read, it comes up like a calculator, and you just type in the number and move to the next one. So we can do that for the time being. Any other questions? Okay.
Do you have any committee reports this evening?
I do. We met Dean and Brian and I to discuss this water plant. That's how the ordinance came about and everything.
Utility committee.
Yeah, sorry, my bad, utility committee, I apologize, yes. So basically, we, after discussion, we came up with the recommendations to, increase the rates. Basically, in order, the end goal is to pay for the water plant, which is where we all wanna get to. Right now, we're dealing with things that are outdated. The rates we're charging right now aren't going to make enough to pay, so our debt to revenue ratio we're falling behind. The current rates around the area are probably 3 times that, to 2 times, 3 times that. So with the rate we have, we're going to end up short, so we need to raise it to be able to, the system's not sustainable the way it is right now. So we talked about the meters needing replaced. And basically the way we came up with these rates is we used the benchmarks based on the study from the engineer's numbers. So right now, another thing that we're facing when we talked about grants, but we can't get grants because with our rates being as low as they are, they won't even look at it because they'll basically say raise your rates to get, you know, back to where you're comparable with everybody else. And then you know, so we're not at that point. So that's kind of where we're at. Brian could probably maybe put a cherry on top of that, or
Yeah, I mean, if you take and you think of, you know, the ordinance speaks to the word tap, but tap is really not the right word simply because you have a tap fee when you tap a water line. So think of water meters. So currently, the water meters all generate income. We charge everybody that has a water meter, depending on who you are and how you qualify. So if you live in town, you pay $35 a quarter. If you live in town and you have the homestead exemption, you pay less. If you live outside of town, you pay more. But if you have the home exemption, you may pay a little bit less than that. So anyways, as an example, residents in town pay $35 a quarter. Okay? People who live outside the town in residence pay $45. Homesteads in town pay $25, and outside the village limits, they pay $35. So currently, if we take all of our meters and we figure out and we do a spreadsheet, we know that we bring in approximately $130,000 a year based on that calculation. The problem we have right now is based on our anticipated expenditures, what we have encumbered, and historically what we do, we already know that there is a chance we could be as off as much as $40,000 in the year 2023. Expenses greater than revenue. Okay, so we've already known that these rates are insufficient to just take care of what we have, let alone do anything for the future. So I put a spreadsheet together. I ran the numbers. I took a look at what Jones and Henry recommended. They actually recommended increasing the rates by $72 a quarter. So you take what you charge them now plus the 72. I did it at 70, just try to make things round easy numbers. That'll generate us about $212,000 a year. Well, actually, it may generate a little bit more than that. We need, based on if we are able to secure a 0% loan for 25 years on $5.3 million, we require $212,000 per year revenue. So by taking and going to the additional $70, we would actually net approximately $262,000. And we actually need probably $262,000 or more. We're not at a point where we can actually look towards the future. We're having a hard time paying for the current. I mean, when we have things break, it becomes very difficult. And as Amy will attest, the one account she doesn't like people using money out of is the water account, because it's just difficult to maintain the expenditures. So we're at a point where we either move forward and build a water plant, or we don't. But we will not be building one without increasing these rates at this level. There's no way to do it.
Is that 262 addition?
Over and above the 130.
Okay, so we still got our other loans we'll be able to pay. Okay, perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the problems we're facing now, I've been out and seen it, is the chlorination process. Our chlorinator does not work. We're running through 2 tanks, and it's kind of hit and miss. We get a lot of problems with it, especially over in your area.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I told the guys in the meeting, I said, if I had $20 million, I could fix everything, but I don't have $20 million. There's things that need to be done. We have water lines that are made of concrete, you know? And we have water lines that are dead end, they're not looped, which they need to be for circulation purposes. So there's things that need to be done.
In getting a new water plant, will that take care of some of the loops and some of the cast iron that we have in our infrastructure?
No, sir, we'll not address any of that.
Just strictly
Strictly the water plant.
But if we increase these rates to accommodate for a worst case scenario when replacing the water plant, and then we happen to find funding that can assist us with that, then possibly with the rate increase, we would be able to generate revenue to start repairing our water lines too. I mean, we've known for a while that our water supply is in need of dire help. And we've kicked the can down the road long enough. I think it's time we need to get on it. We probably should have been on it 5 years ago when I first got in.
Okay, I got a question then. Brian said something about our rates are lower and because of that we can't get grants.
That's
Will
correct.
this put us in the category of being able to get grants?
It will put you in the category where you qualify.
Okay, that's because if it doesn't,
Getting is a
then-
different
then
story.
we probably better do something else. But-
Yeah, so in December, I had that presentation in front of that SCEIG group that I had sent you an email on and stuff, and that's all the players in the state, all at one table, all at one time, so you only have to talk to one group. I'm hoping that the worst case we come out of there is a guaranteed interest rate of 0 for 25 to 30 years. But I'm hoping that some of the members are willing to contribute something.
Well, the average, are we saying the average water rate increase for the average home will be about about 280 a year?
That is correct,
That's the target?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think we figured out it's like 77 cents a day, and not minimalizing the number, but it's in order to get where we need to be, we don't really have a lot of choice in the matter. So, or we just don't go that route, like Dean said. But I mean, that doesn't seem like an option relative to where we're at, what we're dealing with, and where we want to go. And I think everybody in here agrees that we need to go down that road to get to the water plant, because that's one of the major concerns of the village people. So,
And these numbers don't really consider whether or not we regionalize either. I mean, that option's still out there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
So, the rate increase is what we're gonna have to do no matter what happens, whether we do our own plant or if we do a regionalization, we're still gonna have the rate increase in order to secure funding, because if you got a monthly payment and they see you don't even bring in enough to cover your payment, they're not gonna give you a loan for it.
Right, we would have a portion of debt obligation on the regionalization just as well.
Either
and
way,
stuff, so,
the alternative is keep dealing with and limping along with our water, and hopefully we don't run out or don't totally go down and have undrinkable water.
Well, in places like you're down there where Steve's, do you have bad water pressure over there? Is that what the issue is?
pressure, sometimes more of the chlorine levels, I guess.
Like it drastically varies, like,
Yeah, like at some points, like if you do a load of laundry and have the laundry door shut, when you open it, it smells like a Holiday Inn pool when you walk in there. Like, I mean, it's thick, and it's.
does it loop back there? Like is there a continuous loop at all?
Yeah,
I think that's what. Yeah, that's how we set it
Back
up.
out to the other edition.
It does come back out. Okay, I didn't know if there was like the water itself. That's the end of the line, and
Oh, yeah.
just the way it is.
that's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Doesn't Buffalo Street have issues too? I mean, I've always heard there's issues with waters on
Yes.
Buffalo Street.
Theirs is, I think, a dead end, I don't.
That's
they don't
dead
know.
end.
Okay.
Canal's a dead end down there too on Wentworth.
And though, does that need solved too, eventually? I mean, does that, okay.
We need to go in and take out whatever's concrete, and replace it with plastic, so we don't have main breaks. That's where the majority of those take place. And then we need to connect the ends so that they loop.
How much plastic do we have now?
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I'm not sure anyone knows that answer. But I
There's
know
about
I don't.
4 foot on Canal Street, we put that in, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in the committee, we just kind of talked about how we're at a point where we really need to have the funding, and if we don't do a wholesale change at this thing, if we come in and kind of limp it along and limp it along and limp it along, we're just gonna constantly be in short on funding and constantly have to do small increases. So as the committee, we just said, we might as well just kind of hit everybody at one time and let's just swing for the fences and see if we can't just do this and keep it as minimal to cover our worst case scenario. So that's where we're at with the funding and the numbers. So as the committee, we decided that it would probably, our recommendation would be to move forward with these increases.
Well, one of the issues that you face in government is at home, all your money can roll together in the same pot, but in government it can't. So if it comes in under the water account, it stays within the water account. You can't use it for streets or anything else. So you can be flush in one account and be in the negative in the other, in essence. It makes it somewhat problematic.
Do we know, yeah, you probably don't, if we raise these rates right now and then opt to go regionalization, are we going to have to, and we probably don't know this, we're probably going to have to increase more down the road?
Well, the committee talked about that too, and if it comes down to regionalization, it's gonna cost us quite a bit more than doing our own plant. We'll probably just do our own plant.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to keep the impact on the citizens as low as possible.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though regionalization might work out better for the state, it might not work out better for our
Yeah.
community. So that's just a hurdle we'll have to cross when we get there on whatever the numbers come back for the regionalization and what they feel as though funding could be for that.
I think too that even from a regional perspective, even if it was cost beneficial and stuff, it may take an awful long time.
Maybe a 20-year project.
Well, I mean, just to get people to step forward and offer the financing, the grant funding and things like that, because everything is in a cycle and stuff. So, you know, if you're one day late, you wait 365 for the next opportunity. So it just, I know the state prefers it. It actually, I had to address it in the grant application in December, asking, I have to, you know, identify any water treatment plants within a 10-mile radius and ask questions about regionalization. So we'll have that data for us prior to that meeting. But I mean, I think in theory it sounds good, but in reality it may be a very long process. This is going to be a long process.
So is replacing some of the lines, is that a higher priority than the treatment facility?
No.
Or it's
The
not?
treatment
So-
facility has got to be replaced. I mean, if we lose that, it doesn't matter if you have all new lines. So,
Our chlorinating process right now is 2 tanks of chlorine, one for the east side of 49, one for the west side of 49. There's a gate valve on top of each one, and that's how it's regulated. So it's hit and miss.
And the price of chlorine went way up too,
Yep.
so that's even costing us a lot more than last year.
So in the committee, we discussed, we're actually not we're gonna end up in the red next year in the water department unless we make some sort of a change now. So that's why we just considered taking the recommendation from Jones and Henry that did the study on the village and come up with a number of what it was gonna take to build a plant. And they gave us the number of how much we'll have to increase our water. And that's the numbers that the committee is gonna recommend that we use. It's just what we paid them $40,000 to come tell us what that number is. So here we are with the number, trying to make a decision. I know it's not gonna be good for the whole community to raise rates, but I've gotta pay it myself. You know, we all live here, we're all paying it too. And it's gonna hurt some people more than it's gonna hurt others, but the ultimate of thinking about not even being able to have usable water in 5 or 10 years, that's where we're looking at.
Does this consider at all current inflation rates too? because,
I,
buying it this year, it may be 25% or more higher next
we've
year.
gotten some of our rates and like our electric bills and even the chlorine and our
Yeah.
water testing, and we've included that in my budget before this. So
Yeah, 'cause
hopefully,
everything-
those that have reached out to us,
Mhm.
we've included.
Okay.
And most of them reach out to us to let us know they're raising their rates.
Yeah.
And that was discussed in our committee too, the fact that if we just push this down every year, you run the risk of it going up another 10% in cost.
It won't be less,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
It'd
Any
be a-
questions?
Thank you guys for checking that out.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there any old business to discuss? Any new business?
I would like to bring up the problem we have out at the compost pile. It's sadly abused and being used improperly. I don't know if any of you have been out there lately, and I would certainly invite everybody to go out and take a look at that. The little drive, not the main drive going back to the sewer plant building, but the little drive where you unload has been completely covered up. And the grassy area to the east of that is almost full of debris. They broke down the fence on the north side, the gate, the stuff has been dumped on there. They've been cutting down trees and taking the entire tree out there. There's a limit on the size of the limit, I think it's 4 inches, perhaps 6, but I think 4 inches is the biggest you can take out there. And there are stumps out there that big around. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the facilities to deal with that. And they've got it moved back now in a pile, and we're having a company, as I understand, come up to take care of it, that we can't do it ourselves. We have people from out of town coming in there and dumping, the people from Antwerp are paying for that, and it's for their use. They're throwing 2x4s and construction material and asphalt and anything that they don't want, they're throwing in there, and you can't chop that up or mulch it like we do because of the crap that's in there. The only recourse that I can see, and I hate to even think of this, is make a gated area and have it open in restricted hours and have it monitored by someone when it is open, and bring proof, like a utility bill, a water bill, that you are a citizen of Antwerp. I hate to go to those meetings. It's gonna cost $58,000 to upgrade the camera equipment out there. Something needs to be done. I don't have an answer. I'd like for everybody to see it and see what they can come up with, but we got a problem.
It's costing $10,479 for Go Green to come and haul that and crush it this time.
But we do charge the citizens on the water.
Right, but we've already paid them $6,000 once this year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be at,
And what are we paying them to do?
They come in and they mulch all up and get rid of it.
Okay, that's just the standard stuff, it's not the vandalism
No,
that he's talking
no,
about.
this isn't standard
Okay.
stuff. This is the vandalism that's taking care of big
Okay.
things, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We mulch up, if the law is adhered to, what they're set for, we do that ourselves. We mulch it up, but we can't do this. It's just huge.
We mulch it up ourselves?
no,
This
I was gonna
the small
say-
stuff we do.
no, we don't.
Don't we?
No, we thought
I
that,
thought we did.
that we hired that company to come take care of the
Okay.
compost site, and that's why we ended up charging the
Okay,
citizens
I
for
was
that
just
service.
confused on what, okay.
Yeah, I was kinda wondering.
How many big stumps are out there?
Oh, go back and drive down that little
Okay.
your area, and you'll see it's full of them.
Last month when I was there during recycle, I seen a gentleman out there who was actually cutting firewood out of the pile and loading it in his truck.
Yeah.
George does that, and it's a big help.
I was just saying, we
It's a
should thank
huge
them.
help.
Yes.
I've had people call,
I
I'm
wasn't
like,
gonna stop
take
him.
it off,
Yeah,
please.
And I did see some large stuff out there. I guess I wasn't aware of our size limit on it. I just thought anything that was tree debris we could take out there.
It's either
yeah, I'm
6 or 4
I'm
inches.
pretty sure Sarah always said it was 4 inches.
I think it's full, yeah.
I think that's the maximum the mulchers pretty much do.
So if you gated it and locked it and posted hours for it and had somebody just go out there and open it and close it at the end and the beginning of the day without putting someone out there to monitor it, do you think that would help some, like relative? Do you think they're coming in the middle of the night and dropping the stuff off? So if it's locked, they won't be able to get there? I mean, obviously, I would think more people are bolder after the lights go out than they are middle of the day.
Well, I would
Especially
prob-
because the cameras don't work very well at night.
But they, yeah, and in theory, they don't know the cameras don't work well, although
They do
now. But
No, they're,
Do-
I mean,
do the
they,
cameras
they're,
work?
they work at night.
they work enough, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, as you said, if the
So-
cameras work fine during the day and they just don't have infrared on them, then that seems like a great solution.
Yeah, we're like giving away secrets. Okay, yes, precision cameras. Just like baby steps instead of the whole process of like gating, locking down, putting somebody out there. I was just throwing a suggestion out.
Yeah, we're probably, a month or two from closing it anyways? Like
We
November?
We never close it.
Oh,
never close
it.
well, we used to
We
close
don't
it.
have a gate.
That
Only,
was,
only when it got muddy out
that
there.
was when we did it the other way, and we're limited how much we're allowed to have, but now that they mulch it and take it, we're not limited,
Okay,
so we leave it open.
okay. I thought it was still seasonal.
But the leaves are falling and stuff, so this is gonna be your busy time.
Well, I guess we can put up some more signs, tell them not to dump stuff. I mean, is there signs out there now?
Yeah, there's a big sign that's covered up. You can't hardly read it. It's covered up. They've dumped on it.
Covered it with
The
some
gate,
logs?
the gate on the north end, somebody unloaded. I don't know how. It looked like they had
That
a dump
swing
truck
arm?
close to it. Yeah, crushed it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
You
bad.
mean where the cement goes in? Yeah.
It's blatant use.
We also have some contractors that get paid to cut trees down. It's their business, and they're dumping out there,
Mm-hmm,
right?
yes.
And the sad part, the people of Antwerp are paying to use that. And it's almost to the point. I took some stuff out there a couple weeks ago, and almost to the point that there was no place to dump it.
And it was.
These contractors that dump there, are they from Antwerp?
Yes.
It
So
doesn't,
I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
matter, commercial dumping's not allowed,
Yeah,
period.
it's not permitted.
Okay,
It's residential use only.
We gotta catch them.
I was just say, so they're not doing something legal, I mean, it's illegal what they're doing. Okay, it's not just that they're using it as a site, it's, okay.
Either way, we gotta have cameras that will monitor it. Like, somebody backs over a gate, we should have a way of seeing who did it.
Knocks down the sign.
I mean, even if it's not open, you know.
To the recycle, I got a call from Leo Kahn. He farms out around there. And he's complaining because of the trash that's blowing all over. He picks it up constantly. People are just dumping stuff. I mean, he would like to have a fence put up.
I was just say, would it help if we put up a
That's what he
8-foot
would like, a
fence?
fence.
I'm
So
thinking like a
it blows
bullpen
up
right
to the
behind
fence.
it. Maybe like a 3-sided bullpen, 15 feet high.
We can just ask people to put stuff in the dumpster, right?
We've tried that.
I know.
Yeah.
We can stop having the dumpsters come.
And those
Or we would
plastic,
stop
Next-
recycling would be the
yeah.
other
the
alternative.
plastic lids on that kind of blow open in that wind, it's so strong out there too. And, I mean, maybe that fence thing.
I think fences, if we're gonna continue to keep the recycling out there, a fence is probably the cheapest and best way to.
Well, no, we look and see what it'd take us to build about a 15 or 16 foot bullpen 3-sided around that area.
I can find out.
At least get some ideas of what we're looking at. And maybe include something for, I don't know, better fencing or gate around the compost site too.
It's probably hard to.
And that's the thing, we're gonna end up paying for our gate or fence as much as what we charge for the service for a year.
And then it's gonna be inconvenient for our people going back to the waterworks plant, which I understand he'll be happy to do it because he's fed up with the mess out there, but it's still gonna be inconvenient for someone that's going back there.
I mean, I don't know if we could get them to compost it more often just to keep it cleaned up.
We
If that
call
would
them,
help.
they're just so busy, it's really hard to get them.
It's hard to get a return phone call.
They're just so busy, we don't know who else to call, they're out of the work.
you're an electrician, maybe at night if we do this, put the fence up, you can wire that up at night with 480 and when we find out who's.
They'll be there in the morning?
Yeah, yeah.
Give me something there in the morning.
Don't pee on the fence.
Okay. A lot to think about. You'll get the information
Yes, ma'am.
for Dean, yeah? Okay.
Are we going to contact Leo and let him know what we're doing?
Yeah, I can try to, I'll get a number for him, let him know. Okay, to the mayor's report. For the month of September, total funds went to the city was $1,602. To the state, $242.50. Indigent driver, $10.50, with a total of $1,855. And I want to remind everybody, trick or treat is October the 29th from 5 to 6:30. The parade lineup is down at the Manor House around 3:15. And then the parade is at 3:30 with costume judging is at the fire hall right after the parade. So have your costumes ready.
Are you
That's all I
judging?
have.
Are you the judge?
I've not been asked to.
Not yet?
No.
Not that you know of?
Not that I know of, no. That's all that I have.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Who was second, Jason?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Jason Frank?
Yep.
Steve Jordan?
Yep.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
Dean Reister?
Yes.
Brian Stitt?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.